Hi everybody, this is Shirley from the James Kennedy Public Library here to demonstrate for you how to do our June adult take and make craft activity, which is to make a faux stained glass picture that you can hang in a window or on your wall or however you would like. This is the one I made as my trial. I'm not a very wonderful painter, but I didn't think it turned out too badly. So I'm going to demonstrate it and let you do your thing with it. I'm sure you are all way more crafty than I am. So basically, you will get a kit to do this from, and it will have most of the things that you need. It'll come with a picture frame that we'll be upcycling. So it has to have glass, so that's what we'll be using. So if you happen to do these at home, you'll need to make sure you have glass frames or other pieces of glass. I've seen directions where they just take pieces of glass, or you go to the thrift store and tear them apart, and it doesn't matter what else the rest of it is, you just need the glass piece. It will have some templates for you to use to do your design. This is your backdrop, and as I do the demo, you'll see what happens with that. But you can also design your own or draw your own. You'll have some Mod Podge to use with your paints. You'll have some containers of different colored acrylic paints, and a little bottle of 3D fabric paint, which is what you will use to do your leading. And also then a paper plate to help you do with some mixing and things, and a paintbrush, which is missing in action right this moment. Anyway, I am going to go ahead and show you. I'm doing my video a little bit differently, so maybe you can see it a little bit better since there's so much down work. But the first step, of course, is going to be preparing your glass. So you will have a frame in your kit, something like this. There are different sizes, and yours may look a little bit different. But basically, you just need to take it apart. You're not going to use the back at all, so it doesn't matter how beat up it is. And then you'll need to take the glass out. This glass is pretty dirty. I'm not sure you can tell that from there. So I am going to take it and wash it, and I will be right back with it, and we will start our next step. So I am back. I basically just took my glass to the sink and washed it off, and so it is pretty clear now. Some of the directions I read suggested that you wipe your glass off with alcohol to make sure there's no fingerprints. I'm not that much of an expert, so I just use water and paper towel to dry it, and we are going to call it good. So the first step that you have to do is you would be putting your glass on top of your template. And I'm going to switch cameras, so hopefully you can see that. We'll see if this works. Okay, so I'm using paper towels for my work surface because it's fairly small. You can use whatever you want, but since you are working with paint, you might want to have something underneath it. This is acrylic paint. It should be washable, but you never know. So I picked a sunflower design. So I'm just going to put that down, and then I put my glass right over the top of it. So as you can see, the lines show right through, and you'll just want to square it up however you want your design to be. And then you take your black fabric paint, and we have 11 bottles of this, so the first 11 people will get to this. After that, there are alternatives, or I'm hoping maybe the people, when they are done, will bring it back. So I'm shaking it up, as you can see as I'm moving it underneath your thing. I am not an expert with this. In my sample, my hand was pretty shaky, but if you take your time, directions are take your time, work slow, it's pretty good. And then you can fix it if you have a craft blade, which I do not have, but we will call it good. So I'm just going to start and use this to go right along the line and make my leading. You just kind of pinch it slow and move slowly. And I'm not going to have you watch me do this forever, but I just want to do some of it so you can kind of see how it works. So like that. I'm not getting it to come out as much as I thought. I'm wondering if my bottle's getting low. So you want to follow all the lines, because when you're done, you're going to paint in between them. So I'm going to just let you can see that pretty good, I think. I'll just do the around the sun so you can see that one too. And see here now I'm shaking. So I'm going to do this without having the video running, because you really don't need to see me shaking all over. But I just wanted to mention that if you are doing this at home and you don't have the puff paint, some of the directions I was reading suggested you could take regular black paint, like a teaspoon of acrylic black paint, and put it in a bottle of Elmer's school glue and mix it up, and then use that. And another one suggested you could just use permanent like Sharpies, and that would work fine too. So I'm going to pause this and let this finish this, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have done most of my lines, and I'm going to take this off so you can see how I did. I ended up not doing the exterior line. If you see, there is another line, and I may do that yet. I'm not sure how much black I have in my bottle. So anyway, so I wanted to pull it away though and just let you know, see how it looks once it's off of that. And if you notice any lines that don't go all the way, like the way you'd like them to, you can just add a little more to fill it in once the outline is gone, so you can see what you're missing. My outside outline is not the best, so I'm going to try and fill that in. Now, see, you can tell, you can kind of make it more leaded look by doing a less even line. That's not generally how you do it. And I have noticed my hand is starting to cramp a little bit, so you might want to take your, if you've got a lot to do, take a break if you need to. I'm just going to make sure it's all done together. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and stick that under here and do that outside line and see how that works. But it takes about 4 hours for this paint to dry, according to the directions on it. So we're going to take a break, and I will come back once it's dry, because this leading needs to be dry before you do the next step. All right, so we will see you in a little bit. Hi, everybody. So I actually waited overnight to move on to my next step with this, because I wanted to make sure that the black paint was fully dry. So as you see here, I have my shape, and I'm going to switch to the other camera shortly so you can see it better. I'm trying to see how it works. But anyway, as I'm doing it. So, but that was your first step. So, which was putting the paper underneath and doing your outline for like where your leaded glass your leading of your glass would be. In your kit, you also have some various colors of paint and a little container of Mod Podge. So, and a paper plate and a paintbrush. So the next step is actually deciding what colors you want and making those up. You mix the Mod Podge with the paint to make it thinner so it's more translucent. And then you can also mix the paint colors together. So if you wanted, get back to your primary knowledge, blue and yellow make green if you mix them together. If you mix a white with something, it's going to make it lighter. If you mix your black with something, it's going to make it darker. So you can do all of that on your paper plate or whatever you have at home. So I'm going to switch to the other camera. And then the other thing I discovered with my first the first one I did like this, is that I am not really good at staying in the lines. So I originally, when I did this one, I tried to paint it on the side with the leading, and I was going over the lines, and I thought, why not just flip it over and paint on the back? So that is what I did. It made it much easier for me because I could paint and not worry about it being perfect around the lines. And the leading on the front side covered up all my mistakes. So the next step then is I'm just going to paint. So here I have yellow, and I'm just going to start with my sun. So I just put a little bit on the plate here. I'm just going to put this under here so you can see. I'm just going to put a little bit on the plate. I gave you plenty of paint, I hope. It depends on what size picture frame. So most of the picture frames are going to be the 4x6 or that size. So I have my paint. And then actually, since it's the sun, I'm not going to add the Mod Podge because I want it to be a little bit brighter color. But when I do some of the other ones, I will lighten it up. So we're just going to go ahead and paint where the sun goes. And it's going to be this yellow color right here. So, and as I said, since I'm painting on the inside, as you see, can you see? Yeah, I'm just painting, trying to make sure that I stay inside that black line, but it isn't quite such an issue because this is the back side. Now, if you certainly are welcome to paint it on the front side. That's what all the directions I was following that I found online had you do. And I'm just kind of tapping it in. People who are more talented might not have the brush strokes and all of that showing, but I am not an artist. I don't paint at all. This is my first time really painting, so I am just tapping it in because that seems to work for me. And there is my yellow for my sun. Then this paint is very washable. So what I would typically do is decide what I'm going to paint each color and then do all of that color and then go wash my paintbrush. So the other thing that would be yellow is the petals of my sunflower. I think I want that to be a little bit of a darker yellow. So I am going to add a little bit of, I think, black to my yellow paint just to see what happens. You can kind of play around and see what you like. So I'm just going to add a little bit of black here to make it a more darker yellow. Hopefully I didn't add too much. It looks like I might have added too much. So as you see, you mix it together and it changes color. And I think I probably added too much. So I'm just going to take a little bit over in here and mix it up. The other thing when you add color is it gives you more texture when you're painting. Why do I have a, which you may or may not like. So that's kind of more of a mustardy yellow, which I'm going to call good because, and we're going to see whether we like that. So I'm going to take this over here. There. Yeah, I kind of like that. It's a little bit darker, but not too dark. So I'm just going to take that paint and put it on my, as you can see, my petals right here. And this is really where not painting on the front side makes it much easier because all of those dividing lines, since this whole section is yellow, I can just make them go right over the top of those, and the front side will look good no matter what. Okay, so that is the process of painting this. I would suggest, you can make your own decisions on how you want to paint it. If you want to do one color at a time, and then let it dry, which makes it a little bit easier to make sure your colors don't blend together. But it's not a big deal, I don't think. The other thing you can do is then mix your own colors, find the ones that work for you. And then in between each color, as I said, I would make sure probably start from light until dark. And then in between each color, you would go and wash your paintbrush because this is washable paint, and you can just wash it right out with water in your sink and rinse it out really good, and then come back with your next paint. Okay, but you don't need to sit here and watch me paint. So I'm going to pause this and finish all my painting unless there's something when I'm doing it that I want to talk to you about. I will come back with the next step, okay? Okay, so I decided there's one more thing I just want to mention. The other thing that I've been doing is I pick it up after each color and kind of look at it from the other side to see if there's anything. Yeah, I'm getting a reflection, but okay, to see if there's any space with that color that I missed. The first time around, there was a little corner down here where the yellow wasn't showing. So then I spotted that from this side, and I could go back and fill it in with the color that I was working with before I moved on to my next color. I don't think it's an exact science. I think you can have open spots. It's supposed to be your design, however you want it to look. So anyway, so this is I'm doing the back side. So this is the yellow that I've done with my sun and my the petals on the sunflower. And then from the front side, when it's all done, this is what it's going to see And it's just a light yellow. This is more yellow. This has got a little bit of brown in it. Okay. So as I said, I'm going to go and do the painting without you watching, and we will see you in a little bit. Okay. So it's been a couple of hours since I finished painting this. I'm not really thrilled with the way the colors turned out, but it is what it is. So this is the back side, and I did go over the lines a little bit, but when you flip it over to the front, you can see the leading. I'm getting a good glare on this. You can hear this will work better. So you can see the different colors. So here's my sun, my sunflower. I would have liked it better green, but you know, I'm not, again, I'm not an artist, but I don't think it's too bad. So the last step is gluing. I mean, you can consider this done and do nothing more with it. The issue is figuring out how to hang it, and I'm going to leave that up to you all to figure out, because I'm not sure what your best practice is in your home or where you want to put it. One option I thought of is putting it on an easel. So here, you can't really see that under that camera. I'm going to switch back and finish what I'm doing first then. So the last step then is to glue your glass into your frame. Assuming you want to put it in the frame, you will need a heavy duty glue. So this one's put it back in the frame, and it's ready to hang however you choose. If you put it in the frame, then you can use the edges of the frame to create to put something to hang it on. If you use a really good glue, there's also a bit of a gap in between the frame and the glass, because you're not putting any of the cardboard and paper back in there. So you can maybe tuck something up in there and glue it, and then have it hooked up as a hanger. So I went and bought E6000, which is a really well-reviewed craft glue. It dries clear and transparent. So it's a pretty good one. You may have something like this. You could use super glue. You could use, one of the things talked about using hot glue. I was a little hesitant with glass to use hot glue just because I don't want it to drop. But then basically you just take the glue and you run it along the edge of where the glass will go inside the frame. So I just put a bead along the whole edge of it. You really don't need to watch me do this. So anyway, once you get that around all of the edges, and I'm putting a fair amount because it's glass and I worry about glass falling and breaking. So you want to run it on all four sides. The only thing about the E6000, just so you know, as I'm smelling it, it does have a pretty strong odor. So you might want to do it somewhere that's ventilated. But once you have that in there, then you take your glass. You're going to want to put it the good side down, and then just slide it in like you normally would. And there it is. So there's my finished one. And now you need to let it sit. The E6000 says to let it sit for about 24 hours to 48 hours to consider it permanent. So I'm just going to let it sit like that. And I'm going to switch cameras so I can talk to you a little bit more. Where's my camera? Okay, so this is the one I did first, and I do like this one better. I think the simple colors look better than when I was trying to mix them on my other one. I'm not going to hold it up because I'm afraid it will fall. But once you have it to this point, it's trying to decide how you want to hang it. As I showed on the other one, there is a bit of a gap here. I was thinking you could use that E6000 glue and run it in there, and then run a wire of some kind and up and around and loop it that way. The simple fix is just to use an easel, and then you can just sit it on the easel and put it on your windowsill or wherever you like it to be. But I will leave that up to you to make that decision. So that is the how-to on how to make faux stained glass. It is really pretty straightforward, even for a non-crafty one like me. So the kits for this should be available anytime. They will include a glass inside a frame, Mod Podge, several different colors of acrylic paint. And again, you can mix the paints to get the colors that you want. You can buy your own. You mix it with the Mod Podge to make it a little bit thinner and more translucent. You will get the first 11 to get their kits will get a bottle of the black puffy paint. If you get this and don't use it all and aren't planning to use it for something else, please return it and then we can put it in another kit, because I did use this one container to make both of mine, and I think there's probably enough in here to make another one at least. So in your kit, you will get the picture frame that we talked about, and puffy paint. And we have 11 bottles of this, so if you use it and you aren't planning to make any more, please do return it so that we can pass it on to other people who might want to do it. There'll be a container of Mod Podge for you to use to thin your paint, or as an adhesive if you need to. There'll be several colors of acrylic paint that you can use on their own, mixed with Mod Podge to lighten them up, mixed with other colors to change their colors. You will get a paintbrush and some templates that fit the size of, about the size of your picture frame, and then a paper plate to use as a mixing board. So I think that should, and written directions, but you know, if you're watching this video, you already know how to do it all, right? So thank you for watching.